Hey, coach, so happy you found us. First of all, subscribe and like so you get these. We put these up every day. Second thing is make sure you go over and check out teachhoops.com for coaches who want to get better. It's the one-stop shop for basketball coaches. Be everything you need to become a better basketball coach. Go over and check it out. It's a community. We just got off an hour and a half call just talking hoops, sharing ideas. Nothing else like it. You get my personal email address. You will love it. Go over and check it out. Let's head off to the video.
Hey Coach, this is Coach Van back again with our next video book preview, and today we're going to go over the RAM playbook. This playbook is 118 pages, give you 44 different RAM plays and 15 different veer action and wide pin down plays. And then we finish the drill book off with 37 different drills to help teach your team the RAM and the veer concept. So if you're not familiar with the RAM and veer action, I'm actually on the second half of this video going to attach a podcast that I had done with Steve Collins of teachhoops.com. And we go over a little bit in detail what RAM is, what RAM out is, what veer action is. And so you can go ahead and fast forward and take a look at that and then come back to this portion if you want later. But as always, we're just going to kind of start with the table of contents, and then I'll walk you through some of these other drills here and plays so you can kind of see what each diagram and play looks like. So let's start off with the table of contents. Again, we start off with the RAM pick and roll plays. And those are all anything with RAM action in it. And then we'll get into our veer action and our wide pin down plays. And then we go right into our RAM and veer action drills. And then we go over RAM and ghost. Ghost is more of a terminology that's used nowadays. But for the old school coaches, it's just a pick and slip. So, but we got ghost out action drills, and then we got veer action and wide pin down drills. So kind of gives you an idea of what's in this book. Relatively smaller book compared to our other ones, 118 pages. Compared to other playbooks out there, it's large, but for us, this is one of our smaller playbooks that I did. But again, here's our RAM pick and roll plays. Again, if you don't know what RAM is, it's basically just it's a down screen. I'll give you a quick preview here of, let's say, Butler RAM go is one of our play calls, but 4 is setting a down screen here. Let me blow this up so everybody can see. If everybody can see that there. So 4 goes and sets. This is called a RAM screen here. So 4 setting the screen for 5, and 5 is sprinting up. Now we call this goes because this is kind of our action here, but it'll kind of give you an idea what's going on. But let me see if I can find a better option to kind of explain exactly what a RAM screen is here. Here's a good one. If you look at our Carolina 143 RAM side 2. So if you look down here at frame 4, what we have here is number 1's going to set a RAM screen for number 5. So 5's going to sprint up and set a ball screen for number 2. So the whole point of setting a RAM screen is to eliminate the teams that are trying to blitz or trap your ball screens. Or might be really aggressive in hedging on those ball screens. So what we do is we set the down screen pin down, and then X5, who's guarding 5, has to fight through that pin down and then sprint up to be able to get into position to defend the pick and roll. So whatever that is, here we got 5 coming up to set the ball screen, but then he's coming to set a second screen. That's what we call our 2 action. That's our terminology. So 1 sets the RAM and then pops out and exits off the weak side. So we have a possible throwback pass there to number 1. If you've seen the Warriors, they like to run a lot of the stuff. Klay Thompson and Steph Curry will set the down screen and then run the exit action. So that's in a nutshell what the RAM screen does. But again, make sure to go check out the podcast later on in this video. So these are all our RAM action plays. And then we get into our veer action and our wide pin downs. And we give you a few different options here that you can run with that. And then we get directly into our drills. So, this is something here. Here's a drill, for example. Let's say X5 does a really good job of sprinting to cut off number 5 who's trying to set that ball screen. Well, this could just be a read, and number 1 might just start dribbling at him, and then number 5 is just going to reverse and plant and boom, make a backdoor cut. So we call those dribble-ats. So X5 or number 5 would see that and then just cut backdoor as he sees number 1 starting to dribble. So that's just one drill that you can do just as a counter. Again, all these drills are going to help you build up your offense in practice. So this can work in a multitudes of different things though too, obviously. So if you're ever denied, that's kind of what you want your read to be. But if you look at these, all of our plays and all of our drills are color coded. They all look the same. Very easy for you to decipher who's who, the offense, the defense, and what a pass is. Each frame has the descriptions in it to whether it's teaching points or to describe the action that's happening within each frame to make it super easy for coaches. So you can take these to your practice. These are all printable. They work on a laptop, a desktop, iPad, or a phone. So you can take them again to your practice or games. And let's go ahead and scroll down here a little bit. Here's our Ram Ghost Out action drills and veer action wide pin down drills. And again, 118 different pages. And that kind of gives you a quick little look at the Ram playbook. So if you have any questions, feel free to email me at coachvan@nextplayhoops.com. Again, that's coachvan@nextplayhoops.com. And we'll see you at the next video. Thanks, Coach.
All right. So Ram and veer, Coach. So tell me, so we're not even doing an intro on this one. We're just because we're just throwing it and seeing if it's like. So tell me what Ram and veer are. Like I'm looking at our show notes and it says Ram veer. I have no idea what we're talking about.
Okay. Well, I got 3 different plays here for you, but here's in a nutshell. If you're looking at frame 3 here, how many times, and I learned this early in my career, you're running a ball screen and you're getting blitzed or you're being hard hedged and they're just giving you fits and you can't get into your offense and get into what you truly want to get into.
Oh, they're doubling you? Does it work against a double?
Well, yes, that's why we're going to do it.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
So if they're double teaming you, it's like, okay, well, you can't just keep running that same pick and roll up top and they're just going to keep blitzing it over and over and over again, right?
Right.
So how can we free that man up? And that's called Ram action. So number 3.
Where did that come from? Can I ask where that came from?
You know what? I don't know where that came from, to be honest, but
okay.
it's you're setting a down screen like a Ram, I guess. So that
would be okay. I mean, I've heard it. I mean, I've never used, that's not in my vocabulary per se.
Okay.
With Ram. We have other words probably we use for that.
Yeah.
Okay. I just wondered.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm just, 20 years of coaching, you pick up different terminology. You have no idea what you're even like.
You do.
So number 3 comes down and just sprints into a down screen for 5, right? And what that does is now, number 5 is going to sprint into that ball screen. Okay.
Right.
So X5 has got to fight around a down screen first. Whether he's coming this way, so he's trailing, right? And that's when you can get some of those slip actions because he's got to sprint.
You find the slip actions. I find it's hard for them to do the slip action, but once they get it, there's openings.
I mean, if you run something like this, it's extremely easy. If you watch the NBA, they run, people call it ghost action now, right? We used to call it pick and pops or just pick and slips. Now it's called ghost. And the reason it's so difficult is because they start with this Ram action.
Right.
And it's a sprint up screen. And then X5's got a sprint to match. And that's when it really opens up the pop if number 5 wants to pop or the roll. So,
okay.
So anyways, that's essentially, that's Ram action. Now, veer action is when you set a ball screen, okay, and then you are going to go into a second screen, okay? So one would come off, let's say, and it's coming off the initial ball screen, and then 5's going to set the ball screen and then set a second screen away, a basic pin down, and 2 could fill up. And then that might be a wide open shot. Simple actions, right?
Yes.
The Golden State Warriors run a ton of this, by the way, and they run it for Steph and Clay. So
It's a little bit better than everyone listening to the podcast. Those two are a little bit better than anyone you're probably coaching. Go ahead. Yes.
right. So, but they'll typically run. Steve Kerr runs this at the end of a quarter. Great end of the quarter play. Great after timeout play. Great something because there's multiple options. So the first play I'm going to give you is 21 Ram out.
Okay.
And here's the Ram. Number 3 sets the Ram screen down here on X5. Okay. Number 5 is going to sprint up for a ball screen. But just as a decoy action, number 1 is going to dribble entry into a DHO with number 2. Okay. Now, kind of like in Chicago action in frame 2, 2 is going to come off this ball screen here. Okay. And roll. So this is basically pistol. 1 comes off, DHOs with 2, and then 2's coming off the ball screen by 5.
Which is a good action. That's a good high school action, to be honest with you.
Correct. And it's something you can run out of your transition. It's something that you can kind of mix in with your Chicago action, good 3-man action.
It's an AAU action. You see it a lot in the summer.
I'm sure. So again, you come off 5 rolls, 2's attacking. Now the timing thing here, don't forget about number 3. Number 3 set this and then is now kind of setting up his man down here off the Ram screen. So as number 2 comes off the pistol action, number 3 is now coming off a pin down screen by number 4. And this was always Klay Thompson. So Klay Thompson would come down here, set this pick, and then boom, is coming off. And this would always be a wide open shot. Now, if the defense wants to cheat, what do you got? If X4's got he sees this coming, he steps out. Well, now number 4 can slip in there too. So it's a pick and slip action. So basically what you got is you got 5 on the roll, you got 3 on the pin down, you could have 4 on the slip, and you might have number 1 on the throwback.
So you have 4 options. I love that. I love stuff that you have more than 1 or 2 things. You have reads at this point.
Yep. And again, exactly. You're just reading who's tagging who, and what's going to happen here is X1 once again has got to come in here and tag this, and that's when 1's going to be over. So we're really reading this tag man, and that'll tell us what we want to do. We can see this on the strong side of the floor easy, but we should be reading that on the weak side. But number 2 could have a shot too right here. So Yep. So that's the first one.
Okay.
Now, if you want to disguise, this is floppy Ram out follow veer. So now this kind of gives you a little bit of both.
I like this initial action for 3 and 2. That tends to be a good high school action just to get open on the wings.
Yep, exactly.
Yeah.
If you're having trouble entering the ball to the wing, just start off in a double stack low and just run some crisscross floppy action, and then boom, you can get into your offense.
You can. I mean, again, I'm trying to give stuff to different ranges of listeners, but this second one is a good, double. It will get you open up against 80% of the teams, probably, at least initially. Yeah.
So initially, you might even have a shot off this floppy action.
You might.
Because X3 and X2 could, switch and miscommunicate, and something happens there, and then all of a sudden you got a wide open shot. So it's basic floppy action for those who are listening.
Right.
And we'll make an entry pass to either 2 or 3. It doesn't really matter. But 1 will go opposite and then go immediately set a Ram screen.
Okay.
Afterwards. So we pass the ball here in frame number 1 to number 2. And then number 1 is going to go down and set a Ram screen for number 4. Okay. Same thing. Number 4 is now sprinting up, to set a ball screen. Now in frame 2 here, this one's kind of a little bit different. Number 1, instead of coming off the action that we did before with the pin down on the weak side, he's now going to come back to the strong side off 5 screen. Okay. So we might have that for a shot, and that could be something different to throw at the defense. This is another one of those good ATO late game play calls. If you want.
Because it's giving some options too. That's what I like.
Yep.
You get to skip even on that. Yeah.
Now, if you do go to the corner, this is what I call corner action. This is my terminology. This is just an automatic read. If we pass the ball to 1 and we don't have a shot and we got 5 right here, he just sets a back screen for 2, a little rip screen. Okay. Yeah. And we might have that for a pass there to 2 cutting if X5 doesn't step up. And then number 5 steps into an immediate ball.
So you're playing a 2-man game at that point. You're like, I love those 2-man games late like that. Like you're clearing 2 a little bit off that screen.
Correct.
And
you can't double this because X5 has got to help on the rip screen. Otherwise, that's going to be a wide open lay-in.
Right.
And if he does, so now that opens up number one drive in here because they can't trap that.
Oh, I love that. I love that action.
And you have to do that in the corner. And I do
Yes.
that. If we get in the corner, that's automatic in every play that we do. It's just like a kind of a little Princeton principle, Pete Carrill.
I like that. I like that. Yeah.
Old school NBA stuff right there.
It is.
So now if we don't pass the ball to number one in the corner and number two keeps it, remember we had 4 come up to set that ram screen, right? So now 4 sets that ram screen and 2 is coming off, 1 is filling behind. This is where we go veer. So remember, a veer action is a ball screen into a second pin down screen. So 2 is attacking here. Okay.
Say that again for the listeners again. So the veer screen again.
The veer screen is when, if you see here, number 4 is going to come up, sprint up into a ball screen.
Yep.
It is going to sprint into a second pin down screen.
Okay. So it's a screen and then another screen.
Correct.
Yeah.
Correct.
Okay.
So now what you're doing, 2 is attacking here. I think I got, oh no, I didn't have one more frame, but 2 is attacking here. And then 1 is lifting up and you got possibly that throwback. And then number 5 can duck in, seal kind of, he can either seal a man to clear a path for number 2 for a lay-in, or we could just duck the ball down into number 5 here with deep position in the post. And if you have 4 here, we could just throw the throwback here to 1 and 4 could just space afterwards.
Okay.
So yeah, you got
I like that. I like that. I got to convince 4 to set double screen, 2 screens, but that's a different, that's a whole.
Hey, the thing about that, what I do is I put a guy, if you have, everybody's got a player that they want to hide who's a big body and you want just to go and set 2 screens, that's a perfect play. Run some veer action.
Do you have any tidbits on setting screens?
As far as
teaching, because it's a hard thing to teach. It is like to properly set a good screen.
I think the biggest thing, one of the number one things for me is sprinting into a ball screen. That's the biggest thing. I think that's the biggest challenge is getting your bigs to sprint into ball screens because they all want to jog at their own pace. And when they do that, what happens?
Right. I love that idea. And that's where you can hold them accountable. Like, you're not sprinting into, I love that. That's a golden nugget.
If they sprint into a ball screen, then they can't hedge us or trap us at all.
Right.
And the whole reason we're running a ram screen is so they can't trap us. So yeah, if you're not sprinting, I got a seat over here on the bench for you.
Yep. There's a nice warm one. There's a nice warm one right next to me. Yes. Okay. So let's do the last one here, Coach.
Yeah. Last one is ram out veer again. I'll just make this one simple. Number 3 comes. Now you got, this is one of my favorite plays and one of the most simple things. Instead of running just a basic pick and roll at the top here,
right?
You got to spread off. And I know it looks crazy for the people that are watching.
Oh, it does. You got 4 colors going on, Coach.
I do. So let me define the colors here. Blue is your ram screen, and that's your ram out action. So I call it ram out when we go down to set the ram screen, and then we come out and exit off the pin down. So that's the blue is ram out. The red is veer action. I should have probably started with this. So the red is the veer action where we sprint up off the ram action, set a ball screen, and then go set a second ball screen for 2. Okay. So as 1 comes off, he can have 2 here for a shot, or he can have 3 here for a shot. Okay. Now, if we don't have a shot, then we go into what I call go action, where 5 is now going to rescreen, and 2 is going to come off in hammer action, and 4 is going to set a back screen. All these plays I'm giving you, just heads up, coaches, great after timeout plays and great end of the game plays.
This one's a great one for that because it just this one doesn't look like it takes too long to set up.
No, this is now okay. This is one thing that coaches get confused too. This is a play that you could run with 10, 12 seconds left in a game.
Right.
So you have to be cognizant of how much time's left. And how long is this play going to take to develop? And
yes, that's really important. That is important for people moving forward. Yes.
So what I like is you got 1 option, 2 option. You might even have this option here, 3. If number 5 here, 2 can also slip, right? So the great thing about all these screens is there's slip opportunities too. It's putting so much pressure on the defense. But again, you got the weak side flare or hammer action going here on to end the play.
Perfect. So so let's talk about your library. Where do they find this? I will put again in the show notes down below these PDFs and the for people listening and on YouTube. I'll put it down below so they can find it. But where would this, is this its own book? Is this in something else? Where would they find this?
Yep. I have a book that is just ram and veer actions specifically. Okay. So you get everything from drills and plays that is everything ram. So
okay.
Yeah.
It's called RAM?
Yeah, I think it's just the RAM playbook. I think
RAM playbook. Okay. Yeah, I'll put a link down below for it. That's awesome. I didn't
Ram and veer. I think it's ram and veer action playbook.
RAM and veer action. Awesome. Thanks, man. Hey, Coach, so glad you enjoyed the video. Subscribe and like before you leave. And also go over and check out teachhoops.com for coaches who want to get better. It's got everything and a roadmap for you to become a better basketball coach. So go over and check it out. And let's head back to the next video, wherever that would be.